You're watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
pledge allegiance. Ellen, want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody.
Okay, I'm done with minutes.
Yep. Make a motion to approve the regular minutes for April 8th and April 10th.
Second?
Discussion?
I just had said a couple of items.
Go.
Jay, did you have any?
No.
What page?
Page 3 of the minutes, of the April 8th minutes. Letter D, second paragraph.
The Ashlee Crosby.
Yep. Second paragraph. In the middle, it reads, Crosby recommended extending the height of the fence at a cost of $5,875 to limit the number of fly balls exiting the ball field. Yeah. We certainly don't want to limit the number of fly balls. Or,
That could be effective if we do it that way.
and maybe on the Mill Lane side. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then page 5, under public input, second paragraph, first sentence, Jay explained he tried calling Fish and Game last year regarding the boat launches on Wilson Pond. I suggest changing the next words instead of that are to which is, because of that are, I think, refers to the boat launches, which are not limited access. It's Wilson Pond, which is limited access.
I'm sorry, I correct that. It is, boat launches are labeled as, the boat launch is labeled as limited access on the Fish and Game website.
Okay, but the pond itself is
The
not.
pond is not.
Okay, I stand corrected. That's
But
what
it should be boat launch, not launches. There's only one launch. And is, therefore.
Teamwork, Jay.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the non-public minutes for April 8th, sessions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and April 10th, 1 and 2.
Second?
Discussion?
I'd just like to have another discussion afterwards about why we're sealing minutes that have no content, but doesn't pertain now.
Okay, so we'll approve them and we'll move from there. So we got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent
Bring that
agenda.
up, buddy.
Thanks.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You good, man? So I'm gonna, Ashlee, I'm gonna move you up to number 5 and we're gonna go back. So we're gonna put you right first on the agenda. I think you have somewhere you have to be, so I'll move you up for that. You can come up here and sit with us. All right, Ashlee, I think we sent you home with some things to do, and we all had things to do on this whole thing, right? And so we're going to clarify everything tonight, right?
Yes.
And we're going to make a decision tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So I guess I'll let you speak.
well, so first off, I have called 5 different fencing companies with very little success, either in availability because it's fencing season, or even just having equipment to reach the height we're asking for them to reach at 30 feet in the air. Monadnock Fence still is the only one that's available and was able to get me a quote within the time frame. I had 2 companies try to schedule times to get in quotes, and we just weren't able to coordinate in this last week and a half, or week or so, timeframe. So I did make my due diligence, I feel like, to try to get these quotes, unless anyone has additional recommendations outside of who I've contacted already. Monadnock Fence is amazing to us and has done all the work down at the ball field, so I feel like when we want to talk about the integrity and the structure and the foundation of extending these poles and making sure the stability is there, they put them in. So they're gonna feel like be the best to know what the weight level can handle and the extension that can handle to be the safest for the wind and for everything else down there. That's my only thing that I wasn't successful on this week, it was getting additional quotes for that.
All right.
With that, I did reach out to Neil. I don't foresee us coming to an agreement, mainly because he seems to look at the trajectory that we presented with you guys. I'm looking at the engineering and the stability of a fence and how much further we would actually have to physically put the poles into the ground to continue to go to that additional 14.5 feet height, which would be a much larger cost than what we're looking at with adding just that 10-foot extension at this moment.
So he feels the 10 feet ain't gonna do nothing.
I
that
feel
we're
like
add on.
it's gonna do something. It's gonna add
But
additional.
he feels it.
Yes, it's gonna add an additional 10 feet of coverage up to that space that wasn't already there. And the probability of the fact that only 2 balls have gone over into his yard, I understand that others have hit the road, but that 10 feet may be catching the ones that are now hitting the road because they're obviously not already going as high as the other ones that are going into his yard. It's either, I feel like we either try a little bit or,
Okay.
Ashlee, is the 10 feet still going to have the angled?
it would not, because it would not be stable enough to hold the additional weight outwards with that. And because it ideally would be those would be freestanding, it would not then be connected to the remaining of the structure that goes around that does have the extended arms.
I'm just looking at it, and I think the overhang right now is about the same thing as adding 10 feet to that fence, just visually, looking at his trajectory here. So if 10 feet is roughly 2/3 of that dotted line, the overhang would protect almost 2/3 of that as it is right now. So adding the 10 feet doesn't do anything. That's all I'm saying.
I would like to state, though, that I didn't bring this to CIP. This was a recommendation brought by the board in regards to Neil coming and addressing this issue. I did not originally have this in my CIP proposal because I understood the logic of what we were asking with the fencing. In the big scheme of everything, our best solution is to actually move that entire backstop back to the appropriate distance away from the plate, because right now our plate is too close to the backstop, which is why that is happening. Like, if that would really be the ultimate solution to fix this, but that cost is quite large to move a backstop of the size that we have at that location. This was my next trying to meet what was being asked of me.
We've been how many years with this backstop?
Oh, since I was a child.
And the whole incident is because of 2 balls made it over it?
Yes. Granted, we have stronger kids, we have new bats, we have new equipment. All of that is going to change and evolve. We're seeing kids hit over the coal fence now, and we've got to address if we need to extend that out further, which is already sitting at 15 feet high. But these kids are going to get stronger, the equipment's going to get better. We can't stop that progression. Right now, it's just a U12 field. The only other option would be that we then limit what's used on it and start knocking down the age groups, which then hits people, the usage for the swamp bats, for Cal Ripken.
So the concern I have, board, is that are we putting good money on something that's gonna work, or are we just putting a Band-Aid on something? Does the board feel we could use a little more time with this, on the backstop height? And, well, Jay just mentioned that. Did you feel, Jay, that?
No, I'm looking at this again. The trajectory is almost like what you'd expect from a solid hit instead of a partial.
Mishit on the bottom of the ball type deal. Yeah.
I mean,
54 feet on a foul ball going backwards is, in my opinion, quite steep.
One way or
I haven't
another,
had
you're
the
gonna
time
have
to break
10
down
feet
the
more of
calculations.
coverage, one way or another.
yeah,
You're
and
gonna
that'll
have 10
catch a lot
feet.
of the ones that are shallower, you know, that they're gonna go up higher and come back down.
Actually, what was the cost of this again?
So the cost just to do that, in the total, if you
Just
really
a
want.
10-foot extension.
Just the 10-foot extension was less than $3,000. We were looking in the range of $275 to $280.
$3,000.
Yes, yep.
So opening day is when?
The 25th. The swamp bats have been down there per their agreement with Cal Ripken already, but our goal is Cal Ripken.
Any way we could get the work done by then, or is that not realistic?
I have literally Nick from Monadnock Fencing waiting for my phone call after this conversation right now. He's been amazing kind of riding this out with me. I keep kind of being like, I will let you know. Thank you for being so patient. I'm hoping they can do that, but I think I need to get a definite from them with the time frame of everything. It is only a week and a half away. Also, I think it's just the debate of getting material in, hoping I can get the netting in time and things like that.
I'll give you my suggestion. I think we should look into it deeply, because what if it's $3,000? What if it's $4,000? We move the whole backstop back and we do it once and it's done in case it don't work. But
Well, it's a,
I mean, we've been using this backstop for
50-foot.
several years,
the 20-foot.
and we had 2
structure.
incidents. I don't see what the emergency is to have it for opening day. I don't see the emergency. I mean, maybe I'm being caught. Maybe the ball will go over and break a windshield and I'll look like a fool, but I don't know. I just hate to put $3,000 on an extension of 10 feet, and then the first ball gets flipped over the thing and breaks a windshield. You know, we get egg on our face for spending $3,000. It seems like this was rushed, you know, like we didn't really, there's more to look into. I mean, she just brought up the option that we didn't even know about. Can the backstop go back 4 or 5 feet? You know, what would it take to lift it out?
I do know that would be more than this to move that backstop, just because it's
I agree with that,
multiple
but I'm just
panels
saying,
of
that was
20-foot
another,
fencing. It is, and honestly, if we're really
But
going to look for the best option, that was the best option.
But
Just
I'll
that
go-
best option wasn't fitting what the CIP money was
Yeah.
giving.
what do you feel?
I agree.
You agree? I'll go along with the board's decision, but my suggestion is that I don't think it's an emergency enough to spend $3,000. And I want to spend money on a good reason that we know we're fixing something. And there's a lot of doubts still. And with doubts, to me, and spending $3,000 is a lot of money, so. How do you feel, Mike?
I think we should wait.
Plus Joe will be back.
Yes, and we can consult with Joe and things like that. You know, and if we don't get it done for opening day, we don't get it done. I mean, we've had, how many opening days would it like it is? And opening days went fine, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what makes it sound like it's gonna be a disaster this opening day?
No, and ideally, collegiate backstops are 25 feet in the
We
air.
don't need to rush this.
30 foot is higher than a standard.
Okay. So that, and we were gonna make a motion on Laurie on the backstop, and what else? The fence, we can't,
The waste.
and the waste.
Well, so that would, I guess, come down with, so I have already budgeted to take these waste stations out of my main facilities repair budget in that main line. But I was thinking, due to the cost not being as much as we were expecting for this, we could maybe use that to free up some additional funds in my main budget in case something else was to arise. I'm fine with whatever decision you make, I just wanted to throw that decision out there.
So what you're saying is you're gonna take the money for the waste right out of your main budget, right?
That's what I was originally planning on, but now
Okay.
seeing that we have
So
leftover
then
money for
there
the
would be no
CIP.
motion tonight on,
Wait, I didn't-
What I'm saying is that we have this left over from the CIP because this fencing wasn't going to cost the expense that we were having. I was looking to see if we could use that $1,000 out of this CIP line and then free up that facilities line in case something was to happen, leaving an extra $1,000 in that line. We spent a little more on opening Brown's bathrooms this year than we were anticipating. Angel was looking at about 40-something some odd seals that have all just dry rotted, but a lot of them are things that he said he's never replaced in his time here, and some could be as old as being brand new for the facility back in the 1970s. But we have a lot of activity down there this year, so to have that free up of that fund would be awesome, but I understand if that's what you'd like me to continue using it for, as that's what it was planned for.
somebody wanna add to
I'd like to
this?
see it come out of your budget,
Okay,
and then it gives us flexibility later.
absolutely.
I agree.
Perfect, so I'm good then to order the dog, I was looking to do the $1,000 ones then, from the dog waste depots that potentially have the solar lights on them. Perfect, I will order those. And then we just needed the motion for Richardson Park.
That was for the brush removal, right?
Yes.
And that work was done in December?
Grayson just finished it up this spring, but we had brought it to the board at the end of November, but we didn't end up getting
The fund.
the final motion for it to free up the funds from the Netty Fund Stone, the Netty Fund Pavilion, the Netty Stone Pavilion Fund, to use $12,000 of that to have all of that brush from the microburst removed that was infested with bees and things like that. It looks beautiful down there now.
So, yeah, we would just be looking for a motion to approve
The $12,000,
from the
the Netty Stone Pavilion Fund, which I feel like Steve has moved into my CIP fund. I don't know if that has formally been moved or not.
I thought it has. I think it has.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve $12,000 from, what was the fund again?
The Netty Stone Pavilion Fund.
The Netty Stone Pavilion Fund.
Who's
For the
invoice
brush
for?
removal.
For brush
Who's the
removal.
invoice for?
Grayson, I did now we're really gonna talk about Heffernon.
GDS.
Yes.
I'm going to abstain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Yeah. Discussion? Yes, Bruce?
That account that she's trying to take that out of, I don't think it covers the brush. It only covers the work that you do on site on the pavilion itself, is my understanding.
There was some pre-discussion in November about how it was going to go, because I remember having it at the CIP. I can look back in the minutes to get the formal layout of it, because I did present it to get it removed, because I wouldn't have approved Grayson to go down there without getting approval from any of you first.
I
What if we
remember
made
that.
the motion pending if it's capable of, if we're all right to take that for the brush? And we make the motion, we follow it through pending what Bruce just said. Could we do something like that? And then we look into it if
Or
the
just look
brush,
into it and have them come back.
have them come back?
Yeah, we can
That
do
came
that.
out of the subcommittee,
The what?
capital improvements committee,
Oh,
Yes.
where that came from.
well,
that information.
would it be on our website? Shouldn't it be listed? I can check real quick. Or we can just come back to it.
Because I remember that being part of the conversation with asking about the dog. And they had approved the funds to be, and it may have come out of the renovations of one of the properties that didn't get done last year. I wasn't here when the conversation happened.
Just give us a couple minutes, she's looking it up and Bill might be able to get an answer too.
I wasn't going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, tomorrow.
But we can answer it tomorrow. Why don't we just push it off for a week,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there, okay?
All
We're
right.
gonna have to, because we gotta find out if this is what it is, okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
you got approved from somewhere,
You got-
promise.
1 for 3, you're batting pretty well. Be a multi-millionaire.
I don't need to come back for final approval, will I need to?
I don't think so. We won't need to, because we
Wednesdays
know
are
what it's
just really
about.
hard with activities and children. Everything.
We'll let you have supper on next Wednesday.
Oh, thank you. It's not even supper, it's more of just running small humans to their locations and making sure they're all kept taken care of. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
week.
Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Okay, so I'm gonna open up for non-public, and we have...
Public input.
Huh?
You can open it up for public input, not.
Public input. And then, but I want to do this in a way where we're gonna, when we speak, we're gonna make sure we all, one person at a time speak. If somebody does want to speak or reply to a question or an answer, I'll recognize you, just raise your hand. I want to make sure we keep this where the person that's speaking speaks, no interruptions, and we make this happen very calmly and nobody getting excited, okay? So I'll open up public input, and I think, Dory, you would like to speak a little. Dory, you can come right up here. Bruce, are you with, Dory, you can come up with her, Bruce. If you wanted to speak, so, okay. So if you do come up here to speak, please say your name first for Sue, and make sure she gets your name so it's in the minutes, okay? Do you want the address too, just the name? Yes, you got it, Sue. All right, Dory, if you want to,
I made this posters, I had to make references, but I'll also leave it there, so that if there's
it.
Okay.
And then, so that you can see when I point to things that, you know, what is that, I think I'm shy on, so you might,
It's all right.
you might have to share.
I think we've seen these last night, right?
I have to stand in the beginning, so that's
That's all right.
all right. From the big
Dory, why don't you explain why you're here in the first place, because they don't know.
Dory Maston, I live at 326 Matthews Road. I am the home that adjoins, I think their address is 319, where they had a bonfire, brush fire, this past weekend that got out of hand. And I wanted to give you the measurements and then go on with my spiel so that you understand. But I think the measurements are really important when I describe it. Is that okay? So from where the picture was taken, it was from the cherry tree to this first tree is 101 feet. From this big tree where you can see the fire, the beginning of the fire was, to this tree is 77 feet. It is 111 feet from my pergola to the end of the very corner of Washington. So that can kind of give you the scope of how long this fire was 77 feet in length. Now, at 7:57 p.m., while I was out to dinner with my 11-year-old son, I received a call that my house was on fire. And to get home, I immediately left. I got my husband, and we drove to Matthews Road. As we approached, the sky was lit up from McLaughlin's house, headed towards mine. There was heavy smoke, and I did believe my home was burning. When I arrived, I realized the fire was at my neighbor's property. The driveway was blocked with vehicles, no emergency access. I got out at the bottom of the driveway, and I asked where the fire department was. The gentleman now, I know his last name is Sanchez. I asked where the fire department was, and his answer to me was, I am the fire department. There were no trucks, there were no responders, and there was no emergency presence. He admitted to me the fire had gotten out of control, but no one had called in an actual response. No one at the party. He also confirmed with me that he was there as a guest and in no official capacity. At that point, I called Mr. Tempesta and asked him to please come to my home immediately. When he arrived, he took a look and said, call 911. I told him multiple people had already called 911 and no one had come. Let me be very clear about what we all know. Multiple neighbors called 911 that night. They were told help was coming, and no help ever arrived. One neighbor ran barefoot up the road thinking my house was on fire. Others heard what they described as a sonic boom. People stood outside waiting for fire trucks that had never come. They were eventually forced back inside because the smoke was too much for them to breathe. My tenant evacuated her home. They were scared, they called 911, and they waited for nothing. We now have credible information that an off-duty deputy attending a private party may have had the ability to stop or interfere with a 911 fire response. If that is true, that is not just concerning, that is dangerous. No individual, off-duty or otherwise, should have the power to override emergency response while homes and lives are at risk. This fire stretched approximately 77 feet. It was not controlled, it was not safe, and it was only handled with a garden hose. Just let that sink in. At the same time, a Class 3 fire burn permit had been issued and signed by the same deputy present at the scene off-duty. I also spoke directly with the state fire warden who came out to inspect the site. 3 days later, after 2 days of the neighbor excavating where the fire was. By the time he arrived,
The excavator had already been used throughout the weekend to push the burn pile into a smaller area. Because of that, he could not verify whether the fire had been out of control. However, he did acknowledge that illegal substances had been burned that night. When I asked him what residents are supposed to do if 911 calls are ignored and they don't come, he laughed and said, "I'd call another town." Think about that as well. It is deeply unsettling to know that someone in a position would recommend that the residents of Swanzey call emergency services in another town instead of relying on their own. So I am asking you tonight, if multiple 911 calls don't result in a response, if residents are being told to call another town for help, if fires of this size are allowed to burn without oversight, then what exactly are we funding? And how are we being protected? We just are spending all of this money on a new fire department. Where's the money going? Is it just to cover the truck? Because last Friday night, we were not protected, I am demanding full investigation of this incident, and I want to know why 911 calls were ignored. Who made the decision not to respond? Whether anyone interfered with dispatch, such as the deputy fire chief? Why illegal materials were allowed to be burned, in his presence, no less? And why a fire of this magnitude was permitted in the first place? And most importantly, what is being done to make sure that this never happens again? Because next time we may not be this lucky. And I expect answers, not explanations, because the safety of this community depends on what you do this evening. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Bruce, would you like to add to this?
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you come on up?
Bruce Bohannon, 315 Matthews Road, so I live right across the street where this fire was. And this isn't the first time he's had a big fire over there that's used accelerants on it, in my opinion. This time, I did see him with accelerants. I mean, he was literally taking a can and sloshing it on, and there was a great big kaboom. And then that's when the fire just took off and started. The wind must have picked up too at the same time, and that fire was headed towards the tree line. And the first time that they had a brush fire, they used accelerants. I'm pretty sure of that because there was a big explosion. I say big. It was an explosion of type that rattled my windows. And it did the same thing this time too. Plus all the dogs, and the dog in my house got upset. The dogs next door to me, they got upset. They couldn't figure out what's going on. Pam Whitcomb, I talked with her up the road, and she said the same thing. Her windows rattled, and her dogs were upset, and she's got quite a few dogs up there. So in any case, having a fire like this, and if Deputy Sanchez or Assistant Chief Sanchez was there and didn't see him throwing kerosene or diesel fuel or whatever he was using on that, there's a problem. That fire got out of, it was out of control enough so they had to get a garden hose. They started getting nervous and they started spraying out. But that's a little water hose, not a big hose. And when I called the fire department, I called Fire Mutual Aid. I didn't call 911. And when I talked to them, they said, fire is on the scene. Well, at that point, I was looking out the window and a Suburban had picked up and was driving into the yard. And I said, oh, okay, well, they're here. So I hung up. Well, what it was Dory pulling in, because I realized that when she got out of the vehicle and started heading towards the back.
So you were the one that made the original call for the fire?
I made one call. I can't tell you if it's original. But I called Fire Mutual Aid. And they said fire was on scene. But I had no idea. I said, I don't see any trucks, but. So anyway, my opinion is that fire got out of hand, and luckily they got it under control by pushing dirt on it or whatever they were doing over there and using their water hose. And then next The next day, they were throwing water on it again to keep it cool. So it was still going smoldering underneath that dirt pile. I guess what I'm saying is, overall, is if you're gonna have a fire, at this time of the year, those piles need to be smaller. It was way too big, and I don't know what's underneath that, what was underneath that. So, that's just my comments.
And the fires before that were just regular fires? brush
There were
fires?
brush fires that
All
didn't
brush
get out of
fires.
control,
But they were all
he
brush
was-
fires?
I'm pretty sure that he was using accelerant because my windows rattled when this stuff met the fire.
Okay. Anybody else? Yep.
We may not have, made the first call, but I forgot to say that my tenant also called 911. So I don't know who was first, and then the one down the road also called.
So you know. You guys up?
I live in Laughlin, 343 Masters Road. We heard a big boom. We were in our basement. Felt the house shake. Mother-in-law woke up in an ADU on the property, which is also attached to the
We're talking
garage.
about this night we're talking
Yes.
about? What time was that?
Approximately 8.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm sure somebody has better documentation. But we heard the initial explosion, and we went outside, saw flames, and people were calling 911, ashes going around the neighborhood. I don't think anybody should really get in trouble for this, but I think we need to have a better understanding of how to have a fire. It could have got out of hand, and you know, these things could be avoided, and I really don't think we'd all be here right now if a response team was sent out, you know, with lights and truck, even to just say, it's okay, folks. Nobody showed, and that kind of makes people nervous. Thank you.
My name is Charlene McLaughlin, and I live at 343 Matthews Road. My name is Charlene McLaughlin. On Friday, April 10th of 2026, at around 7:50 p.m., my husband and I were sitting in our basement when we heard a very loud explosion. That's what I'm calling it. My mother, who resides in an apartment that's connected to my garage, called me to ask me if me or my husband were out in the garage due to also hearing the explosion. My husband, my mother, as well as myself, then went outside as seeing what we thought was our neighbor's Dory's house on fire. It was not her house. I ran down the road barefoot 6 months out of having back surgery, thinking that my neighbor's house was on fire, knowing she's not home, knowing she's working, and that she has animals. I went up to her house to potentially run into a burning building to let her animals out of her house. When I got almost to her driveway, I noticed it was not her house that was on fire. I yelled back to my husband and one of the neighbors that were outside, and I said, it is not Dory's house that is on fire. It's the neighbors, they're having a bonfire. And I yelled up to them and I said, is everyone okay? And I was met with laughter. To me, that was telling me everyone was fine. I then proceeded to turn around and go back, which I spoke with one of the neighbors who was there. I was out of breath, telling me that they had just called 911. I then proceeded to speak with the neighbors. My husband, mother, my neighbors, and myself started waiting for the fire trucks to come because we were told 911 was called and that trucks were en route. The flames for the fire were above roof level, with heavy smoke and ashes floating in the air all the way down to 343 Matthews Road. Around 10:45 p.m., myself, my husband, my mother, and my neighbors that lived diagonally across from me, and the neighbors that lived next to them, all went into our homes because we saw no fire vehicle, we saw no official vehicle, no official people, nothing. My husband and I were then informed after the following days that 4 calls were made to 911, and they were all canceled due to a fire personnel person being there at this residence as a guest. My husband and I were then informed nothing was going to be done about this, and that I was told that this person, that due to the childish retaliation that has happened, and the post that I proceededly, this is my picture, by the way. I took this from my phone, from my driveway. I was told on Facebook from the Swanzey Community Forum, mind you, from many of the people that were supposedly at this bonfire, and I will quote, mind my own business, keep my mouth shut because this is a small town. Now I'm sorry, but when my house shakes and rattles, my windows are rattling, my neighbor's houses are rattling, and I look out my window and I see a huge fire from an explosion, I think that is my business. The only thing I have done wrong here, even with a post stating that no fire personnel showed up on the Swanzey Community Forum, I repeatedly told Swanzey Community Forum about the bullying and the childish retaliation, and nothing was done. It is still happening, and I don't want to see nobody get in trouble. I just want them to take responsibility for what they did. Now, I know that we all have to when we all get a permit to build something, we have to let our neighbors know that we're going to do something like this because of noise and so forth. I understand this. Well, if they're going to have a quote-unquote permit level 3, which I was informed of on Facebook, that if we're going to have a fire of this magnitude and it's going to have an explosion this big and it's this close in a tight community, maybe we should start having a scheduled time when we can do that to let the neighbors know, being considerate that this is going to happen so that neighbors don't freak out like we all have done and call 911 and rush in to help people. But now I have to sit back because of the retaliation because I spoke out. Well, I'm sorry, I was quoted, to keep my mouth shut because it's a small town. I'm sorry, but that's very concerning. Thank you.
Hello. First time here, I'm Connie.
Connie what?
Connie Schubert. I live
in
at,
Swanzey?
yes, 336 Matthews Road. I also, with my husband, who is a retired fireman and EMT from Ocean Pines, Berlin, Maryland, many years in the fire department, so I know about protocol. I did not know about Swanzey protocol until after this happened, which I looked up. I and my husband, we also heard the boom, and our house rattled, it shook. I ran downstairs in my basement to make sure nothing happened with the oil furnace or the oil tanks. Come back up, go outside, start smelling the smoke. I came back in. My husband being a retired fireman, I said, there's a fire. He comes out and he walks down, because we're only like 3 houses down where the fire was. And he says, yes, that's a big one. I said, yes. So then I saw Charlene and Tony, her husband. I walked across, I said, did you hear that? And they go, yes, and we all saw the fire. And I was told, yes, somebody had already called 911. I also have a phone call to 911 because nobody was coming up, and I know they're right down the road here, but they have to go around a little bit because they can't go under the covered bridge, okay? 8:19, I called. I was told by a gentleman, the 911 dispatcher, they're on their way. I wish I'd gotten his name, but I didn't, but I know now to get whoever I talked to, their name. Kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Nobody coming up. Going outside, and it's growing, it's growing. So I'm very well aware of brush fires from Florida, how quickly they can spread. Also having the smoke coming over in my yard and the ashes coming over. I'm going, okay, it's going to land on somebody's house, our car. Thank goodness nobody got hurt or nobody else's houses were damaged, okay? But my concern is, what did he have in there to make that sonic boom? That's very disturbing. I mean, what did he put in there, throw in there? And why, when you're told that they're coming and they don't show up, and it's 10 after 9, nobody's still coming up? So now after reading Swanzey Fire Department protocol, I'm supposed to keep calling back. After 4 calls, it says right on there, 4 911 calls, that's not protocol. So now I know, keep calling until I see a truck come up. And that's all I'm saying. But it got out of hand. It got out of hand. And, you know, do you have anything to say? You're just staring at me. Because I'm really nervous. And that's when I talked to Charlene and Dory and so on. Yeah,
I'll speak just because it is in our position right now to add to this.
Okay.
We're trying to get all this information so we can understand the whole story. That's why we are here and we're paying attention. So we're not at that point of asking questions or anything like that. It's nothing to do with being rude or anything. We're really trying to concentrate on the whole story. I have a timeline here from the fire department, and we're trying to, and anybody that wants a copy of the fire department's timeline, I have them here.
Yeah.
And you can come up here and grab them.
Okay, is my number on there?
And what we're trying to understand now is, the select board is trying to match these timelines and everything together, because we're hearing a lot. So we have to absorb it and we have to understand it. You can give those.
And we may have questions later.
Correct.
And so on, and because we're trying to get to the bottom of all this, right now we're taking information in.
Is anybody here from that, from 911?
Oh, no one's here from 911, but the fire department is here.
Okay. I understand, yes, it's volunteer, but I dealt with, when my husband being in it for many, many years. But protocol back in where we're from, if somebody calls and they have that out of control, protocol for that fire department, they still had to come and make sure. Nobody showed up. And I did see whatever white truck that was in the driveway, apparently some person that was, I don't know, a chief or something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, and he went by me, because I was still out in my driveway watching it, and he didn't stop to say, it's all I have to go, and he just went by, so.
Okay. Thank you, Connie. Okay.
Yes, go.
I saw a hand raised over here. Who's coming first? Can you just introduce yourself to everybody? Thank you.
My name is Vincent Sanchez. I'm the assistant fire chief in Swanzey. This is my timeline. I was present. I wrote the word permit for him. So I'm going to address you guys. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
So, I wasn't planning on going over this whole thing again tonight, but I'll paraphrase, because there are some serious inconsistencies in what you just heard and what actually happened. So, 6 p.m. I issued the burn permit. Category 3, they were issued for 7 days. It was issued from 5 p.m. to 12 p.m. that night. Location of the fire was in the backyard of the residence.
Mick, could you slow down with that? Because I think I know from the conversation we had, there's a lack of understanding as how the permitting process unfolds, whether it's category 1, 2, or 3. And so you issued a category 3 that was valid from
5 p.m.
From what date to what date?
So from April 10th to April 17th. A category 3 permit is good for 7 days. So that's what this was.
And what was the burn time, 5 o'clock to what?
So I issued it from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. If you look on the permit, it's allowable from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. the following morning. I like to issue the permits so that that the residents don't put any more wood, fuel, anything like that on the fire after 12 p.m. because a lot of times when these fires are bigger than a 4-foot ring, they take a while before they go out. So we try to tell them to stop feeding the fire by about midnight, and then it has time to burn down.
Could you Just so people understand, could you just go through the permitting process itself?
Absolutely.
Like,
So-
for example, the fire department may not have known when the actual fire would occur.
Correct.
If it were issued online, the town wouldn't even be notified that there was a permit
Correct.
issued.
So if the permit was done online, you can go online right now, you can apply for a permit, get a permit with the proper information, and we would not know, we wouldn't have a chance to go out and inspect, we wouldn't have a chance to do anything with it. So, we don't necessarily think that that's a good idea, but that's not how this one went. This was a permit that I brought.
And you inspected the area before you issued the permit?
Yes, I actually did, I walked around it, yes. The fire was lit at approximately 7:45. At this point in time, I was not keeping time. I was not actually keeping measurements at that point in time of what the fire was. But after the fire department had been called, I did actually take measurements of what this fire was, and 77 feet is nowhere near what this fire was. This fire was paced off at 8 feet wide and 16 feet long. And that's from me on the ground right there, and there are pictures that are involved here that actually show the size of that fire from where it was. 77 feet is not even close, okay? Where those measurements come from, I would really like to know who made them up. Anyway.
Nick, I suggest that what she's measuring is the glow. She's measuring the glow, so you need to speak to the glow.
So I can speak to the glow, absolutely I can. So you can see where the flames are. You have to take into consideration that this is a night sky in a backdrop of trees. So what you're actually seeing is where the fire actually was. This is where the fire was, here, here. This here is reflected light. We discussed this between several of us that have been looking at this picture. We discussed it with the forest ranger who came and looked at these pictures, and he said the same thing as soon as he looked at it, without any prompting. He's like, that is reflected light. So in a night sky, in a backdrop of trees, if you've seen something like this before, it looks very daunting, and it can look very impressive. I did, at one point in time, walk around to the front part of the house and look back and agree. It looked very impressive. When Mr. Tempesta came up and looked at it, he told me right off. He said, when he pulled up, it looked pretty impressive. It looked, I forget the word that you used, but once he walked up and looked at it on level playing ground, like the pictures that I have taken with timestamps on them, this fire was not entirely too big. 2, this fire was never under control. Those words never came out of my mouth that this fire was out of control. What I was trying to explain was the fact that sometimes when you light a brush fire, if a pile is 5 feet high, what was burning in there was small tree limbs and vines that are grown, they're known to grow all around here, and they burn very quickly. So what happens when you light them is the fire comes up, and within a matter of minutes, it burns down. Those top branches will burn hot enough that they burn down. When Mr. Tempesta came up, there was slightly before I took those pictures. My pictures are from 8/27. They're timestamped on my phone, and I believe I put the time on the pictures themselves. This fire, number one, was never out of control. A garden hose was definitely enough water that we had on there. It was able to reach all the way around it, and we were able to, any embers that came off, got into ground cover or anything like that, would have been completely put out right away. The fire, the homeowner, Randy Blodgett, and I, on more than one occasion, walked into the woodline to make sure that there was nothing in there. So, also on scene, the homeowner had an excavator that was there. Had anything like this ever happened and it got out of control, we were absolutely 100% capable of pulling anything that was in there back away from the woodline. The fact that they're saying that there were non-permitted materials put into this fire is completely false. The stuff that was, there were piles of construction material on one side of it far enough away, and there was stuff that had been dug up out of the yard that's in a pile on the opposite side, and it still sits there today. Those things were never involved in the fire, they were never intended to be involved in the fire. So my explanation was not that this fire was out of control, it was that the fire had grown, the flames were about between probably 10 and 12 feet at the top. That's what you're seeing right there. So this, the perception of what this fire was and the reality are two completely different things. It is, I was not on duty, but we don't have a duty crew that we have in town. We have an officer who is on call for the weekend. So, in my opinion, when this call came in, it was well within my job description to say, listen, this was falsely reported, maybe by misunderstanding or by whatever it was. Obviously, I'm gonna hope that it was by misunderstanding. So, I called one time to dispatch, not 4 times, not 3 times, one time to dispatch and said, I am on scene, I'm a senior fire officer in the town, this fire is permitted, it's under control, and there is no need for a Swanzey Fire Department response. There was no need for us to put millions of dollars worth of apparatus on the road for something that was under control. And then when people hear, that there's structure fire or anything like that, adrenaline, and all of those things come into play. In my opinion, there was no, in my professional opinion, and I've been on the job a long time, there was no cause to have that apparatus and personnel on the road. It's the most dangerous time for us to be in a response when we're on the road. After I had addressed the fact that this fire was out of control, Ms. Maston obviously did not, she was obviously agitated with me, and that's to each their own, but she obviously didn't like the answer the explanation that I gave her. So that's all I can say. She contacted Mr. Tempesta, he came up, he yelled up the hill, and he said, who from the fire department is there? He had actually been trying to call me at that point in time. When I addressed him, I explained to him what was going on, that this was a permitted fire, and that everything was under control. He looked at it himself, and he was like, this is what's happening. And I explained to him that this is what's burning, and this is the size of it. It's not going to get any bigger. There is no more fuel that's going on it, and this is under control. It was shortly after that. I left at, I think it was 9:15, and this fire had been darkened down already. So by people saying that 10, 9, whatever, after, later on that night is just not true. Those timelines don't match up. So, we did meet with the forester from the Division of Forest and Lands Monday afternoon, showed him the entire site, showed him 15 feet from the center of where that fire was to the wood line with undisturbed ground cover, with leaves, grass, brush that would have shown signs if this fire had extended, right? So I think it was 15 paces, so we're going to say maybe 30 feet or so. The trees that, if this fire had been as big as everybody says it was, that would have been encroached on, would have shown signs of charring or anything like that, that no homeowner could have done anything about. Okay? You're talking about pine trees or evergreen trees. You're talking about dry leaves that were, in between the homeowner's property and the neighbor's property. None of that stuff was disturbed.
Mick, is it possible for the board of directors to get a copy of that report from him?
So the homeowners are going to get a copy of the report from the Division of Forest and Lands.
The homeowners, as we speak right here, you mean, they all get one? What homeowner?
No, they have to, the homeowners that had the fire,
They get the report.
They requested from the Department of Forest and Lands. It was hoping to be made ready for them today, but it was not available today.
So the select board could have access at that?
That's up to them if they want, I would imagine that this is a formal complaint. If you were to contact the Division of Forest and Lands, I'm not exactly sure what the procedure is. But I think that the Blodgetts would be willing to give you a copy of that report.
You can definitely deliver it.
Very good.
Available to us.
Thank you.
There's no problems with that.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
So in the last things that I'd like to address, number one, somebody brought up social media. I don't like to watch the social media. Unfortunately, I do, and it angers me, so I try not to engage. Number one, the fact that it was mentioned that I was intoxicated while I was on scene, which is 100% untrue. And I take that personally. None of those people who commented or anything like that know me personally. None of them, I've never spoken to any of them.
You might want to read that again.
What's that?
About being intoxicated.
Yes, sir. What about that?
Nobody said you were.
On social media? So,
It was suggested that people were drinking, not you specifically. We didn't even know about it.
Hey, we're not gonna have
so it was brought to me by certain individuals that in the complaint that I was intoxicated. So, number two, that accelerants, gasoline were used, false. And as soon as he said it, I don't know where this came from, but that he was doing this with whatever, it did not happen. It didn't happen.
Hold on, everybody, you'll get a chance to come
And I've
back.
already addressed that prohibited materials were burned because they were not. It was not. There were piles of stuff that would have been prohibited to burn, and they were not burned, they were not in the fire.
So there was no loud noise from that
There was-
resident?
So when that fire took off, right? So a lot of times when that happens, there was no explosion on sonic boom, or I don't know where it came from. So if you've ever burned brush and you've ever burned Christmas trees, when you burn them and they take off all at once, it makes a whoosh noise. It does. I can say that probably happened. There was no sonic boom. There was no explosion. There was nothing explosive there. I mean, if anything, there was a propane tank there, but it was far enough away, not involved. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, hold on, I gave this, I'm gonna give you guys another chance, but I wanna make sure. You're all set now.
You're all set.
What?
I'm all set.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure on this side of the room, does anybody else would like to speak? I wanna give them an opportunity. Say who you are and...
I'm Brianna Blodgett. This is my husband Randall. We're the homeowners of 316 Matthews Road, not 319 as it was previously addressed. We are here regarding the complaint filed in connection with a permitted burn at our home on April 10th. We are here tonight to ensure that an accurate amount of what occurred is on record, particularly in light of information that has been shared publicly that does not reflect the facts. It is important to us to clarify that there was no wrongdoing on our part and that the fire department acted appropriately and in accordance with established procedures. We also want to address the images that shared publicly were taken from a lower grade and at a distance, which made the fire appear significantly larger than it was. Much of what may have appeared to be flames was actually reflection in the surroundings, trees, and did not accurately represent the conditions on site. At no point was the fire out of control. There could be an initial ignition phase, especially with dry brush, where the fire briefly flares and produces a whoosh sound as Sanchez just explained. That is a normal part of a controlled burn, and it as quickly settles as the materials burn down. The fire was conducted legally with a valid burn permit issued by the Swanzey Fire Department. The assistant chief was present, confirmed that all conditions were appropriate, and remained on site while the fire was underway. I was notified at 3 o'clock on Monday afternoon that the New Hampshire Department of Forest and Land was on their way to my house. He has since reviewed the site and confirmed that everything was handled properly and in full compliance. The ranger also noted and commented that materials not permitted to be burned had been clearly separated. We had the required water source on site as well as an excavator, which provided an additional safety measure beyond what is required. I will provide you all with the report as soon as it is provided to me. For the record, and for clarification, brief outline that has been brought to your attention. At approximately 6 o'clock, a burn permit was issued for our property, completely legal. At 6:15, a small brush fire was ignited. At 7:45, after that small brush fire, a larger brush fire was ignited. At approximately 7:56 p.m., a 911 call was made reporting a fire. At 7:57, the assistant fire chief contacted dispatch to confirm that it was a permitted burn and the situation was under control. Despite that additional calls and complaints were made, the situation has escalated. Despite confirmation on site that everything was under control, the situation escalated through multiple calls through emergency services and to town officials. What is the most concerning to us, however, there has been no attempt to contact us as homeowners directly to understand what actually happened. Instead, we are going to go neighbor to neighbor, door to door, to create a negative and inaccurate impression of our household and the town. We are not here to create a conflict with our neighbors. We value being a part of the community and want to maintain respectful relationships. However, this situation can be handled differently. If there are concerns, we believe the appropriate first step is calm, respectful communication and willingness to speak understanding, especially when qualified officials are already on site. This situation has caused extremely unnecessary stress for our family, including acting out in front of my children. My 9-year-old, not okay. It has impacted how we are being perceived in our neighborhood. Additionally, there's an instance during the situation where our driveway was entered at a high rate of speed, which raises severe safety concerns, especially given the presence of my children in the area. We sincerely hope this can be resolved and that no further action is necessary, but we also feel it is important to set that expectation moving forward. Our goal in speaking today is to ensure the facts are clear to express our hope in moving forward. Situations like this are approached differently. Communication, trusting in our local departments in consideration for the impact that escalation can have to others. Also, I would like to address that there was numerous negative comments on social media. Not one of these members of the community ever came into our driveway, besides Dory, to make sure that everything was okay. If you're so concerned, you should address it.
And there wasn't a single person who commented all those negative, not a single person on there was at my house. So all the people giving negative comments, that's them. None of those people, because trust me, I was looking at every bit of feed that came through. Not a single person that commented was actually at my house.
I do have some concerns, one of which I would like an answer. How is it okay for a taxpayer to call a selectman and make accusations to have them arrive at her house, but still yet, Wednesday, this happened almost a week ago, has yet to come confronting me or Randall about this situation. Instead, I watched her go door to door and speak to every neighbor to try and get them against us. How fair is that? It is not fair at all. And quite honestly, I find that as slander. This has taken a huge toll, and it's not okay. And I will not handle it. We haven't owned our house we bought it in September. It hasn't even been a year. We're trying to improve it because it's the lowest house on the road. And this is what we get. It's unacceptable. And I've had a lot of issues with this since Friday, since this all happened. And the fact that on Monday, it was posted not more than 10 minutes after that forester from the state of New Hampshire left Miss Maston's driveway, there was a post up. And I've had numerous people that are friends with Miss Maston call me or message me, wow, you've made a big splash into the neighborhood.
Okay.
I hope that this can get resolved, and I hope that the residents on Matthews Road take their own opinion.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
You mentioned Monday afternoon and the way it was handled. I'm uncertain as to your addressing us, but
Because
what do you,
Monday
can you expand
was-
on what you mean by
Yes, so Monday was 3 o'clock, I got a phone call that the state forester marshal was coming to our house. My husband was at work, I was in the pickup line to get my daughter. I said, well, I called my husband, I said, you might want to meet me at home. We literally pulled in at the same time. Not only 5 minutes later, the fire marshal from the forest and land pulls into Dory's driveway. He comes up, he does his investigation, nothing found, walked our property, you're doing great. You know, you're gonna have a great property, your land's gonna be beautiful when it's all done. And then not even 10 minutes later, there was a posted negatively about this.
Okay,
So why are we waiting?
I'm just trying to clarify what you mean by handling. So your focus now is what's on social media?
My focus
Because
is
we
on
had-
all of it, honestly,
We had
Bill.
we were not aware that the fire ranger was.
Yes,
was
so
attending either.
I was not aware either. I was not aware until 3 o'clock. And his estimated time of arrival was 3:25. I pulled in my driveway at 3:20 from getting my kids from school. We met with him extensively. We asked numerous questions. He asked numerous questions. He looked through the pile. There was nothing that was illegally in the pile. All these accusations that are being made are accusations. You weren't there. There was nothing. We have brush piles everywhere. We have since moved them to the back of our property because I'm not dealing with this. It's harassment.
And for anyone who actually came to the house respectfully, would have seen what Jimmy saw when he came up to investigate. And that was a not out of control fire. So,
I would like to know.
and I will say, and I asked the forester, like, what should I do with all this brush then? Because it was all brush we were gonna keep burning. He looked at it and said, this is all legal, burn it. He said, make a pile, you have an excavator, keep feeding it with the excavator. He goes, this is all legal to burn, so he goes, just burn it. Other than that, we're paying to have it all trucked out. And that's not funds that we need to do right now. Or I could push it down back and let it rot. I mean,
And that's what we've done.
well, it's not down back yet.
It's not, no, but it's still on our property.
But even the forester looked over everything, even the trees, the grass, there was not a lick of things burned between my property and her property.
And he even walked, and he said, if it was out of control,
At
like it's,
77 foot flames, shit would have, things would have not been in good standings if we had a 77-foot flame fire, especially with the trees and stuff. If we had a 77-foot fire, the heat alone from that, yes, would have charred, would have left damages. There was no hiding that. There was none of that. So, yeah.
I have my own intake on this. But I hope that you guys can nip it in the butt. This will not happen again. We will live happily Maybe on Matthews Road, who knows? Maybe not in the town of Swanzey, I have no idea. But I hope that it can be resolved. And now I have to explain to my children why someone pulled in my driveway and raised their voice at a grown man within the presence of my 9-year-old. So not only am I affected by this with stress and emotions, but I have to answer to a 9-year-old. And to me, you all have children. How do you do that?
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you. Is there any more, anybody else over there? I'm gonna let this go for a little bit longer, just in case you guys wanna, we're gonna keep the next brief, I think we got, I don't want to have it just continuous. I'm gonna ask after, there's a couple of more minutes, I'll give one of you guys, yeah, Bruce, you can say something?
I guess the question I had for...
Bruce, it's directed to me. Can you come up to the microphone? Thank you, Bruce. I know it's a pain, but we just gotta do things right.
So on here, he says accelerants, gasoline was not involved. Now, I'm not sure if it was gasoline, kerosene, or something, but something was thrown on that fire. Because I physically was standing in the window. I knew what was going on. He was literally sloshing it up on the brush pile. So my concern
You saw liquid coming out?
A liquid of some kind. And I cannot tell you if it was Randy or who.
What color was the jug?
Somebody was doing it.
What color was the jug?
I have no idea, because it was black and the fire was going out there. So somebody was throwing something on the fire. And I don't have a problem with them having brush fires out there, but have a smaller, I mean, we're in, you said it yourself, we're in a class 3 danger maybe?
No, that was a class 3 fire.
Okay.
So,
But we're not,
Hey, Bruce, we gotta keep it right here.
It just goes this way.
Because this is just gonna get into a big debate, and I gotta prevent that, I gotta stop.
so, in the view of the way the weather is now and the brush fire, they shouldn't have, my opinion, shouldn't have as big as what they had, and certainly shouldn't be throwing, whether it be kerosene, diesel fuel. I don't think they'd be throwing gasoline on, because...
Bruce, when you saw him do this, did the fire respond?
Oh, yeah, that's when they had the big boom. My windows rattled, and I talked with my neighbors up there. There's rattled at Pam Whitcomb's place.
So the fire was already burning when you saw him?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I knew what was going on, so. But I just like somebody to answer me. He's got gasoline, but
Jessica, wait 1 minute.
I just want to know if kerosene or diesel fuel, is that considered an accelerant as well?
Yes.
That's all I need. Thank you.
All right, Jessica.
I could say a lot, but I'm just going to say that when you ask him that question, that's kind of a leading way to ask it, and all he's got to do is say yes. Because what I noticed is when he described it, oh, he's just sloshing it on there, but he never said anything about the fire going bigger or any more explosions or anything like that. And we know full well that you don't stand there and slosh an accelerant on a fire and still stand in the same place that you were before. So if you're across the road and all you can see is shadow and you see somebody going like this, how do you know they're not raking into the fire? How do you know they're not throwing more branches onto the fire? Moving stuff in? It's a lot of opinion, a lot of uninformed
Speculation.
Yeah, uninformed speculation, no professional opinion except for the fire department. I mean, he's been in the fire service for 36 years. Well over 30 of that as a professional, full-time firefighter and lead firefighter and supervisor. So I just think that this is not helpful to our community. It's not helpful to the neighborhood. The original post on social media, I did a search on the person who posted it, and there has not been one positive comment on the social media community page from this person yet that I could find. Everything that she's ever posted is negative. I'm sorry, that's a pattern.
Okay.
So,
I didn't catch her name.
Jessica Sanchez.
Thank you.
Mick, I'll let you get one more minute. Just be real quick.
So, to answer the question, yes, kerosene or fuel oil or whatever that would be considered an accelerant. There was no accelerant. I put gasoline in there because that's just usually the common reference. Maybe I could have expounded a little bit more on that, but there was no accelerant put on this fire. As a matter of fact, I believe at one point in time, Randy did ask me, in order to get it going, he said, can we put some, put diesel on it? And I told him no. And that is a fact. There was no, I don't believe in it. Number one, it smells terrible when it's burning, and it doesn't do you any good. So there was no accelerant that was used in this fire. And so that will answer that question. I don't know, how you can see, like was stated, from across the road in the dark to make that assumption, but it's that perception and the reality of what happened do not match.
can I ask one question, Mick?
Yes.
Suppose we think of a hypothetical situation. You mentioned how the small brush flares up.
Yes.
What if he was throwing small brush on top of the fire? Would that cause a flare-up?
Not right.
Not right then, okay.
Certainly a ray. If there was something that was being raked up in there, maybe if there were leaves, I don't know where this came from. And I did not leave from around that fire, other than to the point where I walked around to the front of the house, or I walked into the woodbine. So I don't know when Bruce thought he saw this, but I didn't leave that area. So there's nothing nobody threw accelerants on there while I wasn't watching. I have experience and watched people throw accelerants on fires like that before, and I wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't let anybody do it in my presence either, because the outcome is never good. Fire travels faster towards that accelerant than you can get away from it. So if somebody were, and I don't care what it was as an accelerant, if you were splashing it on a working fire, you put your life in danger. I have seen it on a couple of different times. I saw it a couple of times when I was a kid. You can't outrun how fast that stuff burns. Did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Maybe I missed it, but what time did you arrive? Were you there before the fire started?
Yes, I was.
So you were there the entire time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I issued the permit at 6 o'clock, and I believe we lit the first one at 6:50.
Thank you,
Mick, I got a question. You know, in my experience with fires and stuff, the little that I do have, accelerant. So my idea of it is that this sonic boom, this loud bang, would have probably happened at igniting the fire, because when you put gas on the fire, tell me if I'm mistaken, and you fill it up, and then the fumes spill up in there, then you throw the match, that's when you get the big bang.
Correct.
But let me finish. But when you throw gasoline on a fire, it doesn't make a loud noise because it unites right away. There's no, am I correct on that?
So basically, yes.
It has to build up to have that bang.
A lot of times-
So could the fuel have been put on there and sitting in there when it lit and made that big bang? Because usually it builds up with fumes, and that's what makes the big explosion.
So what would have happened if there was an accelerant that was in there by the time that we lit that first fire? If it was put on there at the very first, it would have evaporated by then.
Okay.
It wouldn't have been there. So you are correct, though. If you put gasoline or some type of an accelerant on a fire like that, and you wait several minutes, and those vapors get in and all that stuff.
I've done it.
And it's, right, so you've seen it happen. It still would not be an explosion. It still wouldn't be a sonic boom or that type of thing. But it would, your fire would come up, but there was none.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple more minutes and we're gonna get to the end, because we could, go ahead. Just try to make them a little briefer now, so.
Yes, of course. I'd like to welcome the Blodgers to the neighborhood. We don't want to have problems with our neighbors or anything. That being said, I don't have a problem with them or the fire, but there was a loud boom and there was no official response. I understand Mr. Sanchez was there. handling it in communication with some other official people, but he didn't reach out to the neighborhood and go door to door and say, hey, this is what's going on, it's not a problem. Maybe he could have done that and we wouldn't be here. Again, it comes to response. We're all wondering like why the cavalry never showed up. And it just leaves people curious as to what's up.
Thanks, Tyler.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I want to make this brief, but I also have comments on some of the things that were said. We don't want millions of dollars of equipment on the road. What did we buy it for? If he issued the permit at 6 o'clock, no, he issued the permit at 5 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Well, he writes on here 5 o'clock, so I don't, and I'm pretty sure I have a picture of it, and I'm pretty sure it says 5, but I can double check that. And if that was the case, he would be putting back time on the permit. So it says here 5, he said the fire started, that he gave it at 6, fire started at 6:15. So I don't know how all of that timing plays.
I might be able to explain that. I mean, the permit's from 5 to midnight, but it's good for 7 days.
Right,
So-
but why would you back time it?
No. The permit was issued from 5 to 7. It didn't have to be that night, but the permit itself said 5 to 7, 5 to midnight.
That was the time he put on it.
I know.
Right, because
But
it's
he
good
filled
for...
it out
That
at
wasn't the
6
time.
o'clock.
That's when the
That's
fire
when he
started.
signed it, issued it at 6
It's when he
o'clock.
signed it. But the
No,
permit...
it said the fire started at 5 o'clock.
No, the permit language was 5 to 12, but the fire was started at 6:15. The permit was signed at 6, but the language was good for a week. So the language was from, in any time in the time period between 5 and midnight, if I understand the permit correctly. And we can ask the fire chief about that.
Yeah, I can submit a copy if you don't already have one, but I think I'm either missing a point or it doesn't matter. It would be moving forward, not backwards. So if he issued it at 6, why would it say the fire started at 5? It doesn't matter that it was moving forward a week.
Didn't say it started at 5.
So the permits are issued for Category 3 fires. They're allowed to, the fire department, the state says that they can have them from 5 p.m. till 9 a.m. The Swanzey Fire Department says they can be from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. They're good for 7 days long, so he puts on the permit that the fire is good from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. for 7 days. And he issued it at 6 o'clock. So say they didn't burn on that day. The next day, they could have burned at 5 p.m. every day all the way through to the 17th.
The permit establishes the window the fire can happen in. That's all it does. It doesn't say when the fire started. He says he signed the permit at 6, but that window is good for 7 days. It could have started at 5 the next day, or the day after that, or the day after that, for 7 days. So he signed the permit at 6, the fire started at 6:15, within that window. That's what his timeline says. It said he signed it at 6, fire started at 6:15. The permit line is time between 5 and midnight. So that's the window.
Okay. I'd still, yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry, my notes are very sloppy because I was a little upset. Any simple Google search, and I encourage you all to do one, will tell you that an excavator is not a fire prevention tool. It can be handy in some instances, but I encourage you all to do your homework on that, so I don't have to bore you with reading you the details. As far as going to the neighbors, I didn't. I mean, I eventually did. All the neighbors were talking amongst themselves, and I went to them individually to hear from them personally I was not home during the sonic boom, to hear their opinions on what had happened, to confirm who had called 911. Is it rumor? Is so-and-so just causing trouble? What did happen? That's what I did. I stopped at Bruce's house and spoke with Bruce. After Charlene called, Charlene told me that Connie was outside and that Connie was having a hard time breathing because of the ash and the smoke. I went and talked to Connie, and I actually apologized for the fire, and had I been home at that time, I would have called 911 again and again and again until I was reassured that somebody was coming. As far as this not being 77 feet, I'll leave the landscape measuring tool right on my front lawn. Any one of you are welcome to go by my house, and you start not from the glow, from the fire, all the way to the other fire. That is 77 feet with no exaggeration. I'll put stakes out there, and you can look at the tree specifically, and then look at the tree where one stake is and the tree to the other. I'm not here to lie. And I'm curious whether it's me or the others here have any reason to be here tonight except out of genuine concern for our safety, the safety of others in what we believe was a very dangerous situation. We have no personal incentive in bringing this matter forward beyond ensuring that the serious risks of the community are acknowledged and addressed. Now, in contrast to that, we had an off-duty deputy who's present at a party where a fire got out of control during the burning of what you'll see in the report he did say was there were illegal substances on the fire when he came to my home. Chief Mattson was there when he said that. So we heard from the deputy. We have yet to hear from the chief. Their driveway had been blocked. He had a clear personal stake in the outcome of blocking 911. He refused assistance, he ignored multiple 911 calls, and was a position where the incident could have resulted in disciplinary action and possible termination. We don't have an incentive to come here tonight, other than our safety. And there is a letter on from the gentleman across the street in the little white house who says he saw them with a red gas can. I don't know what was in it, could have been Kool-Aid for all I know, but he saw them with the accelerant as well. So please understand, and I hope you do, I don't want to fight my neighbors. They just moved in. They got kids, would have loved to have the kids at the pool this summer, would have been or could have been a great summer for everyone. Yes, the neighborhood is upset. And now we're all upset because people believe others are telling lies or exaggerating. I'm not. I didn't come here tonight to lie. Everything I say tonight, I'll say under oath. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to tell you we have a grave concern that an off-duty fireman called off several 911 calls while attending a party as a guest. Thank you.
So they're concerned that no one came. If you were that concerned, pick up the phone and call Swanzey PD. My driveway, we have 2 driveways. She pulled in my driveway perfectly fine. You walked down our other driveway perfectly fine. If it was a big issue, me knowing where fire apparatus needs to be would make sure it wasn't under control. And if any of you would like to come to my house and walk my property and look, that's completely fine. But when I get that report from the state, because the state official would have given us a fine if he found something illegal, and he didn't.
Important to all of you, but there's got to be, and Jessica, can you just say a brief thing? Let's keep it very brief, yeah?
I just want to address a couple of things very specifically that were mentioned. Millions of dollars on the road. I wish she would have finished the sentence because it was millions of dollars on the road under certain conditions for a reason that it didn't need to be. There's a big difference there. Okay. We have them for a specific reason, not to use and abuse.
Okay.
If this was mentioned, if you're so concerned, why did no one go there?
Okay.
No one approached in a calm, respectful manner the homeowner. period, to this day.
Okay.
If someone was having trouble breathing, why wasn't there a 911 call for that individual separately for EMS? But they were fine. Interesting. As far as this picture goes, you have to measure the right things. That also makes a big difference.
Okay, I'm gonna let you talk last.
Do you want to hear from Eric as well? You want to hear from Eric as well?
Can't hear you, what? Yeah.
I feel that I have to make a few statements because it was brought up that I did make social media posts. But for the record, if people read the report that I put on Facebook and so forth, it does not state anybody was drinking. It states I do not know if alcohol was involved. It also states in my report that I put out there that I do not know if any accelerants were used. But I also put in the report that I find it funny how all these people seem to get these permits and they feel when they get these permits they can burn anything. I did not say anything hazardous was in the fire, nor did I specifically state anybody was drinking. I made the statement stating that if alcohol was involved, people make bad decisions. Alcohol equals bad decisions. We've all made mistakes, every one of us. Nobody's perfect. Nobody wants to be perfect. Perfect is boring. I don't want to fight with my neighbors. I have nothing to gain, nothing to lose from this. I don't know these people. All I know is I went outside my house after hearing a boom, and I went to help a neighbor, and when I asked if everyone was okay, I was laughed at. So for a person that gets laughed at when they're asked if everybody's okay, they take that as everything is fine. Now, I was also told that if I was so concerned, that I should go to their house. Now, from past experience, when you go to someone's house after you make a statement and they're already upset with you, there's going to be a problem. So therefore, why would I purposely go to somebody's house when they already have a problem with me? I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to put myself into a situation for that to happen. And the only thing I posted was anything I was told. So I'm sorry if there is an apology to be made. I am sorry for that. But also, I don't want my character in people say, well, they checked out my Facebook and so forth. That's fine. So be it. I don't care who likes me. I don't care who don't. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to speak the truth. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was a lot. The select board tonight is in a tough situation because what we've heard tonight, and we've heard a lot of things on both sides. But one thing I just want to say as a selectman of this town, one thing I did hear out there is that we all can make mistakes. And I think on both parties, if we just did things a little differently, this could have all went away and be avoided. There was mistakes I see on both sides tonight. I do. Little mistakes or little things that we didn't address correctly. And it's a real shame to me that we have a neighborhood with new people moving in the neighborhood and we start off in this manner. And all I'm doing is putting it out there that it's terrible to live in a neighborhood when you can't wave to your neighbors. It's tough. I've done it. And it's not good. So I'm just leaving you with this. We're going to sit back and we're going to absorb all this. We're going to wait for the results of the marshal and all this, and we're going to talk about this. But you have to understand this is a very tough situation for us. But what I would love to see is you all go home and think about both sides, if you were on either side. Because I do see your point. When you see flames like that and you're not used to it, and then I see the other side, that they know what flames look like and they know they have this under control. So I think what happened here is people got excited, and people that knew that we didn't have to get excited didn't relay it to the people that did get excited. And I understand all that. There could have been mistakes on their behalf and mistakes on yours. But I really think it's important that you all think about this and make a beautiful neighborhood over there. And I heard it a lot, and a lot of people saying they're not here to make people lose their jobs or anything like that. They just want it to be fixed so it won't happen again. And I will say this, the select board is gonna look into things like this. We brought up different ideas to things that maybe we could prevent this in the future. Or maybe we inspect the fires now before we give permits out. There's certain things that we can look into. And I assure you that the select board will look into some of these ways that we could help for accidents like this that don't happen. But I'm going to leave that at this. I'm going to ask the select board if they have anything they'd like to add to what I just said. But we are going to take this back in advisement. We're going to look it over. We're going to talk, and we're going to look at everything, and we'll come to some kind of whatever we call an agreement. Hopefully, it's going to work out for all of us. Okay? Yes.
If it's okay, can I go over and introduce myself to our neighbors?
Maybe after the meeting would be a good idea.
I just have one more thing to add real quick, Ginny, and then
Yes,
I will
that's okay.
shut my mouth. The state fire marshal that showed up at my house on Monday informed us that we do not, in fact, have to inform our neighbors when we are having.
We know that. We know that. We investigated that because that was one of the questions, why couldn't we inform people? Jay brought that up. We're looking into all these things. That's what I meant by that.
One more thing, the character. Our character is being crushed right now on Matthews Road, and that's a huge issue for me.
So I think what I want to say is that for anybody in the audience and who's listening on Zoom or whatever, or sees this video later, it's not required for you to notify your neighbors if you have a Class 3 fire. It's not required, but maybe it's a good idea. And I'm just saying that's probably one way to get the neighborhood back in order. You've had, this is your third fire, as I understand. It's your fourth fire, yeah. So what I'm saying is that this is, it may be that my advice is that we exceed the expectations and go ahead and do that. The second comment I want to make is that everyone here is feeling that their reputation or what they say is being called into question and this and that, and I don't think that's helpful. I think what we're all trying to do is get to the truth and also try to explain what goes on. For instance, the very idea that Mick Sanchez was off duty has no meaning at all. He's off duty every moment of his life. He's never on duty except for the weekend he spends in the fire department on call. I mean, he's a volunteer. And so there's the only official full-time employee of this town is the chief. And so to say he's off duty isn't to diminish his role there. His role as a community member and what we pay him for as assistant chief is to be a presence at fires, to control them, to be responsible for them. And in my opinion, and we'll talk about it as the board, he did a fine job. What I'm saying is that that's what personally I expect. But I also understand where Dory is coming from because it was frightening. It was frightening to see the flames and everything, and your neighbors too. It was frightening to see that. And your reaction, call 911, exactly the right thing to do. Everyone who called 911 is the right thing to do. However, when we have a fire professional there who can assure us that that is safe, then we have to take their word for it because that's what he's employed to do, that's what his expertise is, and that's the person we need to trust in this town if we're going to get anywhere. So everybody was right to do what you did, and to be upset, it was all right. What we're trying to do is to say, I come out of this thinking, we have a great fire department and people who take care of ourselves. We have people who are interested and worried about their neighborhood. My goodness, you're in the forest. If the fire got out of control, it'd be a lot of problems. So you're right to be concerned. On the other hand, we have a fire department who handled this, in my opinion, fairly responsibly. So I think what we're trying to do is come to an appreciation for everybody's side in this so that we can come out of this moving forward. And I certainly hope that the Matthews Road neighborhood can move forward through this, realizing the Blodgetts have to realize that you guys had a right to be upset. You have to realize that they thought they were taking care of things correctly and come to some agreement about that. That's my hope. And other people want to say something.
I have one comment, not directly concerning this, it's an idea. Is there a spot in town, somewhere in Swanzey, that we could have a municipal fire pit? People can bring their brush, whatnot, and then the fire department can toast it whenever it gets.
The recycling center.
Transfer
They
station.
take brush.
The transfer station?
They don't, they take brush, yes.
They run it here?
We can talk about it. I just wanted to add one more thing into, and again, people may not agree with it, but, and I realize the permit, you don't need to share on people, but I just want to agree with Jay saying it's a friendly, it's a neighborly thing to let people know. Maybe the day before, just going around, even inviting people to come over maybe and watch the fire. Because, yeah, I would be terrified too if I didn't know what was going on and I suddenly saw the flames. Thank you.
So like I said, the board.
I think that one of the challenges here is the misunderstanding of fire permits in general and what the requirements are and what the restrictions are. We discussed having a mandatory notify your neighbor. And the response that we got was, well, the department can do that, but they can just go online and get the permit from the state, and we won't even know about it. And that's the reality of it. This was a legal burn. They didn't burn anything over 5 inches in diameter, which is part of the restrictions. And I think I'd appreciate if we just give 5 minutes to either the chief or to Assistant Chief Sanchez an opportunity just to explain what the classification 1 fire, classification 2, classification 3, so that people have an understanding of the permitting process, if you'd be all right with that.
Sure.
Eric, you want?
So, the way these classifications work, is your class 1, as the state sees it, is up to a 2-foot ring. You know, this is like your stuff you'd buy at Home Depot, campfire type stuff. And that's within a 25-foot distance from any kind of occupied structure. A class 2 is up to a 4-foot diameter ring, and that's a 50-foot away from any kind of occupied structure. And then, as you've heard most of tonight, there's the class 3, which is 50 feet or greater from any kind of occupied structure, and that's typically considered brush. Any of that type of slash type stuff where, you know, where people are clearing their lands and such. And with that, those are, you know, those are, like I said, those are over the 50 foot away from any kind of structure, and they're good for the only 7 days. So there's no specific size to a class 3. When we do issue them, you know, we speak to the people, especially in drier times. You know, we ask them to, you know, have smaller fires, feed into it. But this time of year is tough because one day it's very dry because of winds, next day it rains, and that all goes away. So it's kind of a tough situation with that. And anything beyond those size fires, the state forester gets involved, and they're the ones that are issuing any kind of larger fires. You know, such as the recycling center. You know, they burn there. They have a burn pit, and he comes down and makes sure that their burn pit is appropriate and that they can burn there.
Could you also discuss the inspection aspect of it, if we issue the permit versus if people go online?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the small stuff, the class 1s and 2s, we kind of go with the expectation that the homeowner is being honest, and that we try to give them every benefit of the doubt that things are far enough away from your home. With the class 3s, we like to go out and inspect them, make sure that things are, you know, far enough away from any kind of buildings, trees, structures, and that. So, and it's not something that's, you know, a pile the size of a semi, you know, out there versus, you know, smaller piles or the size of a car, so.
And would you also discuss the timing of the individual, the different classifications of permits? Like, for example...
Oh, yeah, so your class ones, because of the way they allow campgrounds to run, your class ones can be burned anytime, day or evening. There is no defined timeline. We like to ask that they burn after 5 p.m., but if you're going to use your campfire, you're gonna have to be there, be available, and put it out accordingly. The class 2 is after 5 p.m. Now this is when, and along with the class 3, it's after 5 p.m. With those, the expectation is that in the evenings, the dew point comes down, the temperatures come down, the winds, because of the way the sun hits the earth, and you know, there's quite a science to it. But the winds stop as well. So that's why those are towards the evening. And if there are any kind of brands that are going up into the air, in the dark, you can see them land, hopefully go out and deal with them then.
And when the permits are issued, are they issued for an extended period of time, like the class 3, or for 7 days?
So the class 3 are like they've been discussed tonight. They're a 7-day issue.
And 1 and 2?
And the 1 and 2, we do those as seasonal. We can do them on a day-to-day basis, but there aren't many places that do them on a day-to-day.
I think it would be helpful for people to understand that the department doesn't necessarily know when the burn is going to occur.
Right, and not always, right. So there are some people that, you know, they can go online, they can get the permit issued to them, pay the fee, and they have a burn permit. We do have a way to log into that site to see that, and so does the dispatch center for the online issued permits. If people do come in, we are trying to do more online ourselves for them, because that way, that's the only way that we see that the dispatch center knows when somebody has a permit issued.
Thank you.
They have to have a driver's license too.
Yes, right. So,
Yeah.
anybody else?
I had thought. What would have happened if Chief Sanchez hadn't been there? What if he hadn't been there?
So if he hadn't been there, Deputy Burke was on his way. There were a few other individuals on their way to stations to get, obviously, the brush truck, different stations where you would get the fire engine itself to show up. So we would show up, you know, greet the people there, find out what's going on. If everything looks like it's perfectly good and under control, we let them to their enjoyment and continue their burn.
Right.
If things are out of control, we start to put it out for them.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that the fire department was responding and
Oh,
would have
absolutely,
responded if it hadn't been,
absolutely.
if we hadn't had a fire
They're
professional on
absolutely
site.
Yep.
Yep.
You good?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you guys for coming tonight, and like I told you, we're gonna wait to get the permit and we're gonna discuss it, okay?
Do we need to come back for this, or can we just let this go?
Nobody has to come back. Nobody has to come back. There'll probably be a letter sent out and stuff like that, but you'll be informed of our answer at the end of this. We'll write something up and state how we feel about the whole incident, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Whenever, if there's an apology to be made, I'm sorry. It's not something I was entitled to know. Of course, I appreciate your apology. Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah, we're good. We're all set.
We're good.
Thanks, Mick.
Thank you, Mick.
Eric?
Thank you, Eric. And then there were two. 7:22. Come on, 2 hours.
Yeah, we're on number 7, right?
Yep.
New business, right? So what do we have for new business here? Laurie, what's new business? You wanna-
These are what are in our packet, right?
Right.
These are the elder,
Yeah, we have
veterans and
them in the-
elderly exemptions in the packet.
Okay, you wanna?
And you had a question on one of
I
them?
have a question on B, but A we could deal with.
I think we're on A first.
We're
Let's
on
do
A
A.
right now.
Well, wait a minute, is a motion include B, Laurie?
Well, Jay wants to talk about B.
The motion is for A is written there on, underneath it, so.
Just pull on it.
Pull!
It's okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Careful.
Okay, want to ask you, is B involved with A here? No?
No.
Okay.
I move to approve the slate of elderly and veteran tax exemptions as recommended by the town's contractor assessor, Bernice Consultants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I thought you wanted to talk about B.
We just approved
B is
A.
on the next.
Oh, I
We
thought
just
you
approved
were-
that.
You just do it.
Just that.
So B has a separate motion, and the only reason I ask is that this particular one was denied by the assessor, and it's a little bit sensitive to me because the request is because the person claims that she's indigent and not able to pay. And I don't know if this needs to go into non-public or not.
Yeah, but isn't that,
Oh, it's just,
that-
yes.
is that what that is?
I wouldn't,
All right, so let me phrase the question a little differently.
Yeah, but we gotta be careful what we
I
say.
know.
This could go into non-public
Right.
with the
I'm not going to
person.
go into non-public with this. I'm going to ask a generic question. What if we are not convinced that this is the right way to go? If the assessor says something, do we automatically assume that the assessor is right? That's what I'm saying.
if you,
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
if they can appeal the decision of the applicant can appeal the decision of the Board of Selectmen, and the way they would do that is through the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, so through the state. But then our assessor would be the one representing us in court.
Okay.
So it wouldn't really make sense if our assessor is saying, this is my recommendation, and they appeal it, and then they're gonna meet back at, it's just like a whole nother
Understood.
process.
That's the clarification I wanted.
Yeah.
So,
But, go ahead, Bill, you do it. But I think we could talk to the assessor and ask him more information if that's, and we have the assessor explain it to us, correct, why he did
Yeah,
that?
if anything, if you guys have
If
questions.
anything, that would be the way to
Like
go.
looking through these documents.
Okay.
Because we
go-
have
go-
done that.
so that's why I have not signed it, because I didn't have enough information, I felt, to make a decision on this.
Yeah, and any
However,
of that,
I could
feel free
also
to go
assume
to
that
see
the assessor's
Christine.
seen the information and so on. So I don't know where to go on this, that's what I'm saying.
Yep, you could just go to Christine and ask her any questions, and if she can't answer it for you, she can
Right.
steer you towards, and actually Norm does want to come in, Norm Bernach wants to come in and just give a presentation to you all to meet the new board
Okay.
members. And
So I think the best thing for me to do right now is to abstain from this vote. And
No,
we'll-
the best thing is what Jim suggested.
Okay.
That you request additional information
Okay.
and then.
So we just won't hear the motion, we'll wait till.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I think that's the best way to go, because I'm with you on that sometimes, and you'll feel better if you hear why and the reasons. There might be something that you don't know.
Yeah, I can imagine, but I don't want to imagine, I want to know.
Correct it.
Okay, thank you.
Ready for C?
Yes.
I move to approve the right to know request policy as presented and recommended by the town administrator.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Was that an aye, sir?
That was an abstain, since I have, yes, no, it was an aye.
Okay. Okay, let's go to D, sir.
I move to approve the post-traumatic stress policy as presented and recommended by New Hampshire Primex and the Human Resource Coordinator.
Second.
Discussion?
So I just wanted to clarify, it's my understanding that this was drafted by Primex.
Primex does usually have a template. This one, I believe, did go through Upton and Hatfield as well.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
The Primex part of it is when we do, right now, we're doing like we have to upload proof of like our safety policy and all these policies in order to get the discounted rate through Primex, to keep that P3 status, that's what they call it. If we didn't have harassment policies and all these other policies, we wouldn't be allowed to get the discounted rate.
What would we be?
We'd be
A
paying-
P2?
I don't know. And the next one, Katie did add a section, oh, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't vote on it.
Yeah.
I seconded that one.
I called all in favor, and we all said aye. Yep. For D? Yeah, it was motion made, second. Oh. Okay.
He was soft tonight. Soft-spoken.
No, we're on old business.
Yeah.
I move to approve the Whitcomb Hall rental agreement applicant as updated.
Second.
Are we satisfied with the clarification that the $50 cleaning fee does not apply to standard meetings, or
Right,
we're,
yep.
I saw that in there, but Katie understands what a standard meeting would be. And
Yes, yep. Any questions can be directed through her, and she did add the other part that you guys had noted about the insurance, providing the insurance and liability requirements. She did add that section in there too.
Right, I thought it was well done, though. Right.
She did a great job with it.
Okay. Are we at non-public?
No.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Where is Kevin at?
So we're gonna go in non-pub.
Oh, that's right, Sassy, he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waiting for you to.
Call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
BOS scheduled meetings.
Are we prepared to talk about the select board meetings schedule? Is everybody prepared to talk about it? We had a schedule that was put down in front of us. We all had it in front of us. Who wants to add to, they're not agreeable to that schedule, or?
I'm agreeable to it, because if there's any emergency, we can always call another meeting if we have to. So this is, it's better to have this kind of schedule and then fill in as needed than it is to have the other schedule and have to cancel meetings that we've all worked around.
I do just have to add one thing. I know, Jimmy, you were hoping to
29th.
to not have it the 29th, right, starting, but we already have quite a few things.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't the vice chair take over that meeting, and I'll be filled in, and you guys continue with the meeting. I'm gonna be gone away.
When is this, Jimmy?
I'm leaving on the
29th.
26th, and I'll be gone on the 29th meeting.
Of July?
First meeting I've ever missed.
April.
In 2.5 years, the first meeting I missed.
So
Gonna have one,
Right,
you're gonna have
but
one.
we are, because I had taken it off, but then I realized we had,
I'm off the 29th of July, so I just want
Oh, no, I thought you were going
Oh,
out.
I'm going off, I'll be missing the May 20th meeting.
I think we can give you a bye, Jimmy.
so after April 29th,
We're gonna go with the schedule that we printed out.
I'd just like to put in my 2 cents.
Sure.
I do think that in May, we should continue to meet weekly, because we've got so much in the pipeline that we're not addressing. And then I think, given the fact that we were so far behind the 8 ball last year, with the budget, and that we should at least consider going back on a weekly basis in September. And if we're coming into August and we don't feel we need to, I think we can push it off and go bi-weekly, but certainly by October, I think we should be weekly. We were way behind in the budget last year.
I defer to you folks about that.
Mark, you want to add to that?
I just think we can, if it comes to that, when we get there, like Jay had said earlier, we can just add the meetings if it needs to be.
So I think what Bill's saying is in August, we should look at this and say, maybe we should.
All right, that solves the September problem, but he just brought up May.
Well, May, if you do the 13th of May, I'll miss both the 13th and the 20th. That's just me personally.
You're going to miss both meetings in May?
I will only miss the 13th and the 20th, those Wednesdays, I'm gone. But that doesn't mean it has to be, four of you can handle business.
We don't have a 13th right now.
We don't have a 13th
But if we were
right
to
now.
do like Bill asked, and we do all of May,
I can clearly be outvoted.
So I think, this was planned last summer, so it's no way I can change it this trip, but I'm traveling on
disappointing
the, I'm
that you're not
traveling on the
canceling the
13th, and, assuming that the airports are working, I'll be out of here. So I think that I can certainly provide input before I leave, because I'm leaving on the 13th, but I can't be there at the meeting.
Well, it sounds to me what I'm feeling right now is Bill would like to see us meet in the May, but it sounds to me the majority of the board would like to call a special meeting if we need to.
Well, I could certainly
Am I
meet May
correct on
27th,
that?
too. I mean, we could do May 27th as another meeting in May.
Yeah. Alan, are you for adding meetings instead of taking away meetings? Are you for adding a meeting? If Laurie says to me, Jimmy, we need to get this stuff done, we're going to have to call a meeting, and we do it?
That would be fine. I defer to the experience you gentlemen have, but I think, during budget season, I could see maybe if we need to meet more, but other than that, sure.
Well, we're not going to make a decision on the September one until August. We're going to look at August and say, where do we stand? And then we can change it then. We can say, okay, September, we're going to meet every week. But in May, we could leave it like it is, and we could add a meeting. It seems to me that other than Bill, you guys are for that. Am I correct in what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, and as I said, I could make May 27th, so
Okay, so
if
we
you want
could
to add
add
another
that.
meeting in May, then that's the one to add, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so Laurie, what we're gonna do is make sure we don't fall behind, and with these separations, we should be, once we see that we're having, because your thing is you can be more, you can be better at getting ready for the agenda, you can have everything in line, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
In some of these too,
Yeah.
right? But if we fall behind, we have to know so we don't fall behind, right?
And if I'm not there, maybe you guys can get through things quicker. I don't know.
But we can put you on speaker, and you were in your hotel room, you can sit in the bathroom and listen to the meeting on speaker, Chad.
Yeah. He seems enthusiastic about that.
Okay, so as far as I know, we're gonna, go with the schedule that I gave you guys last week, okay?
Okay, so we're gonna meet through April every week, and then the first, I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Not every week.
And Mark is gonna
And then
chair the
starting-
29th, but the next,
Yeah.
the 29th, Mark will chair the 29th meeting.
So
Very good.
The first meeting in May will be,
6th.
the 6th.
okay.
And Bill, to maybe ease that, I will make sure I follow up and make sure that we
There's no
don't.
easing it.
We'll make sure we don't fall behind, and we'll see. And if we feel that way, we'll address it.
Yep.
And then, Laurie, update?
Let me see if I can pull it up here.
There was that one thing in the file where that we talked about,
What was that?
that you were going to mention, the one thing that was in the red file that wasn't a signature thing, it was about the Aldrich Road renaming.
Next correspondence.
Yes. Is it, did I put under correspondence? I'm sorry, let me just remote in here. Yeah, there was the first one was, we did receive a complaint, are you talking
It
about
was
the
a request from the residents
for a road change?
for a road name
Right.
change because the fire department responded to the west end of Aldrich Road instead of the east end, and they're connected by a class 6, so they couldn't, had to go all the way around to get there.
Oh, right.
I think the letter is in there, but I'm just gonna reach out to chief, because I'm thinking that it's the fire chief that establishes the road names unless it's the building inspector.
No, we did public hearings when it was renamed quite a few roads about 10 years ago. We did it through public hearing.
Okay, so when there's a new house number, the board does, reports
No,
that?
new house numbers, I thought code enforcement was doing that.
Okay,
not
so
the house number,
I gotta find out if it's, I didn't know if it was the fire chief or Chris, code enforcement, so I'm just gonna reach out to
But
them.
that's the 911.
Right,
terms
but
of the
this is for 911 purposes.
But they
Right.
want to change the name of the road,
Yes.
so that would be the,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's up to the board, and we've done public hearings to do that.
Right. So would it normally be a recommendation from the code enforcement officer to change the name for 911 purposes? Because I know they have
Remember
to
when
check
we did
with the
those?
state,
'Cause
they
it
have
was-
to check with the state on what it can and cannot be.
I just remember that 911 made the recommendations because there were so many roads that repeated
That's what I'm
themselves.
saying. It has to go through 911. So I'm assuming that would be Chris or Eric to, so I will do the research on that and then bring it back to you with a recommendation, if that's
And when we
okay.
went through the last one, part of it had to do with the zip code. It's Surrey, Roxbury, Keene, and North Swanzey, and trying to alleviate duplication. And we also had what was the one down here, where they went to the wrong place and the child died.
Grove Street.
Grove Street,
North and
yeah.
South Grove, and then,
Yeah, or like they sound similar
well, they
in
were
name.
exactly the same,
Yeah.
North and South Grove, and then Grove Street,
I
North
think that
Swansea.
we're, in the former town I was, we would have to present 3 names and check those names. In the applicant, if it was a private road, they would have to submit those 3 names and then check it with 911 and then make that recommendation to the board.
So Aldrich is a private road?
I don't know, this is just what I'm saying, no.
It's not a private road, but it's only
Yeah,
paved
just
to the east and the west end, and
renaming
there's
roads
a
in
class 6
general.
in between, and so the
Yeah.
fire truck that
Or
showed up on the
establishing a
west
new
couldn't
road
get to
name.
the east
Right.
directly. And luckily, it was just a lithium battery exploded, and Eric was there.
So I will work on that and we'll bring back a recommendation to you guys.
All right, let's go to correspondence.
We did have, did you want to talk about the stipend? Because it was brought to my attention that where the board has been given in the past a COLA to the elected officials, and I have never seen that before because most board members have like a stipend, and that's what it is. So right now, it's in there in the budget for a 2.5% COLA. So I just wanted to confirm that was what the board wanted to do. Or do we keep, I don't know how this works, so I've never seen it done this way before.
What the board's traditionally done.
Okay.
For years, you say?
Oh, yeah.
As long as you know.
That's what they've typically
Billy
done.
said it's traditionally, that's how it's been done for years, so we're gonna, is everybody all right with that? I mean, it is our decision, right?
I
Or
feel
you
like
wanna
we're
give
Congress now,
yourself a-
voting on our own pay raise, and I don't know if I want to do that.
I personally think I deserve a raise.
What if I wanted to give, what if I wanted to give my raise to Jimmy?
Well,
You give your raise to
there's
me?
cases where board members don't take their stipend and they
Yeah, exactly.
there. So everybody does it different. Every town does it differently, so.
Okay, so we're gonna stay with tradition then, right? You all right with that?
Whatever the board decides, I'm fine with it.
We've never even decided.
There's never been something we decided, right? That's what you're saying? It just happens.
But who decides that?
HR?
Yeah, it's never come up.
So you came
And I've
aboard.
never seen that before, like I said, so,
Welcome, Swanzey.
Is there anything illegal about it?
no.
All right, then we're good. That's all I'm concerned with.
Me too.
Okay, let's do it.
All right,
Three of us
so
just got
that's
reviewed.
fine.
Yeah, what else you got?
I did have one other thing, hold on here, sorry. No. So, oh, yes, I didn't. Oh, yeah, thank you, Sue. Where was that? Did I send, oh, yeah. Did I put that in the packet? Yeah, so you know what, the board approved, I think it was last October, we approved Fuss and O'Neill for the Swanzey Lake Dam. And we gave them the engineering award, and they were out there starting the work and have submitted their first invoice. And I need the board, I didn't include this in the motion back in October, but the proposal, I have it available. Did I forward it to you? I think I did. I forwarded you the proposal, and so I'm looking for a motion to expend up to, it was 140.
144?
Yeah, from the Dams Capital Reserve Fund, so that we can code this invoice to come out of there, because this is the first invoice that came in for the Swanzey Lake Dam project.
Can you just double check and make sure you have the right amount? You have the right amount?
It's 140,400. That's what was in the proposal. And
Yeah.
CIP,
For the engineering of the Swanzey Dam.
it was budgeted in CIP.
You guys are comfortable with that?
Yeah.
If we do it?
So I make a motion to expend 144,000.
140,000.
Up to.
140,400.
Up to 140,400 from the town-owned Dams Capital Reserve Fund.
Make a motion to spend 140,400 from the Dam Capital Reserve Fund.
For the engineering services for the Swanzey Lake Dam.
For the Swanzey Lake Dam.
Second.
Thank you.
When might this work take place?
It is ongoing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's already been awarded. I just wasn't sure of the process back then, and I should have included it back in October.
Good. All in favor?
Aye. I am tired of that damn subject. That didn't go over too well, never mind.
Late in the evening.
And real quick, I met with Elizabeth from the city of Keene, the city manager over there. We were just talking about the solar project that's going on, and you know, they've been hearing a little bit of chatter how there's nothing in it for Swanzey and such, but so she was going through and wanted to mention, you know, to me that it's probably not much, but that there could be potential revenue if the town of Swanzey wants to partake in the group net metering. And so basically, as part of the group net metering program, the solar project must identify sufficient electrical accounts to serve as like off-takers. I don't know how much background you guys have with that, but she's basically offering us, if we wanted to be, you know, to partake in that, they have an agreement that the county is going to be, I think, most likely partaking in as well. So the agreement would be for 20 years, but there's an out clause. If we wanted to decide to do something on our own, there's an opt-out clause. If the Swanzey or the county, you know, wanted to build our own project in the future. So we could opt out. The revenue for either Swanzey or the county is a 10% discount or a rebate. Basically, we'd get a rebate check from, you know, based on the supply rate. It's based on the total electricity that Swanzey uses, which I got these numbers from Bob. They were from 2024. I thought they seemed kind of low. It's like 369 kilowatt hours was the total electricity consumption that Swanzey. So asking Bob if he can just have 2025s, because it may be a little bit more. And I can forward you this. I just threw this together right before I came down here. But, so basically, it's showing on that amount, the 369 kilowatt hours, the first year we'd get revenue of about $4,000, so not much. Year 5 would be 22,000 roughly, and it goes up from there, 10, 48,000. And again, this is based on the consumption of hours, so these are just basically a guesstimate. But if it's something that you guys would like me to look into, I can have her send like a draft agreement over. I didn't know if this was something that you would even want to entertain, so.
So my question is, you said that we could opt out. The reason we'd opt out is we have our own project. Don't we have a net metering project already at the sewage treatment
The
plant?
solar. So as part of the, I don't know if we do, so.
Well, we do at the West Swanzey.
West Swanzey sewage.
Right, but are we getting,
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
because net metering's in effect. That's why we're participating in the effort to extend it from
Okay, then I
2040
don't
to
think we can.
2060.
So if we can't, you should check with Elizabeth about whether that would keep us from being able to be part of this. And my second question was, is that 369 kilowatt hours, is that town hall?
That's supposed to be for all of Swansea.
Because that's awfully low.
I thought so too.
My house uses more than that a month.
Really?
A month, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Unless
that's
it's
one
megawatts and not
question, Joe, I
kilowatts.
have to find out.
Kilowatt hours, not megawatt hours.
When he talked to us about the recycling, not the
So-
recycling, the DPW building and the fire station building, the numbers were quite low in terms of what our usage is in comparison to what our generation would be.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that he's using the same.
So we already have a group net metering with,
I don't know about group, but we are engaging in net metering with the West Swansea Water Treatment Facility.
I'm just saying, I was just curious of whether that included
Okay,
Wickham
I
Hall
think-
usage and town hall usage and recycling center usage and all that stuff.
Well, by what you're saying, it can't be.
well, those are the
there are
numbers
two
that I
different
got from
questions, huh?
Bob, so, for
Two different
2024.
Yeah, two different questions.
Yeah, but I think, I don't think we are the group net metering, and you can only have one account. So basically, that's what she's saying, is we could sign on, and then if we wanted to have our own group net, we could opt out of that and have our own.
And that group net would be for more than one facility or more than one town?
That's kind of what it is, more than one, it's a group net, right? So they're having the county as off-takers, but you can only be part of one group net
Group
metering.
net. So this is not a group net at the West Swansea plant?
No.
Okay, so then we could do it. I would think we'd want to.
I think if you can follow up with that tomorrow, it would be helpful
Okay.
for the public hearing next week for planning board.
Okay.
Yeah, would be helpful.
Yep, so there is that option there, so I can have her send the agreement over and go from there, and then hopefully get some updated numbers from Bob with the Energy Committee. I think that's all I have. Poor Kevin.
I just
And
have one
Kathy.
quick question. Last week, Ashlee Crosby mentioned that she's been working on the dog pet issue with the chief, and that she sent you an email last fall. Were you able to find
I
that
did see
proposed
that,
ordinance?
and I have that policy on my to-do list.
So we did find it? I'm just
She
saying you
did
did
email
find
it.
it.
She
So-
did email
so
it to me, yeah.
Is it something that can be put together in the next few weeks?
I hope so, I have it on my to-do list, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Kathy, would you like to just talk about your last meeting that we had, just briefly, to update the selectmen?
Is there something you want to know?
No, not really, but I just didn't know you were sitting here, and I thought you might want to talk about your Facebook thing there you was thinking about. What was that?
So I created that card, and economic development, we've been talking about getting exposure, because a lot of people don't know that there's an economic development committee in town.
Right.
So
Kathy, Sue can't hear you. Would you mind coming up to the microphone? Right.
I'm not officially here, I'm just here. But, yeah, so we'd like to establish a social media presence to get some exposure for businesses in town and resources in town to let people know what else is going on. And didn't know if I need permission from the town to create a Swanzey Economic Development social media page.
It's wonderful.
Consensus, go do it.
I like it.
I think we're all back on that, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think of our tagline?
That's why I passed it around, and I brought it here tonight so they'd all see it, and I think they're all in
Impressed.
agreement. It's very impressive. So I thought it was.
Sent my first one out yesterday.
Beautiful.
Nice. Say how patient you were sitting through our extensive public
Well, I
comment period.
didn't come to speak, I came to just listen and see what's going on.
Well, you probably heard a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Kathy, thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming tonight. It was an exciting meeting tonight.
And you did a really good job.
I
didn't
do
you?
want to say, I know we had Ann Heffernon on
sorry.
the agenda, and we were going to bump her to public input, but I met with her today, and we came up with a plan, and we're going to approach the board with a recommendation for a new charge for the governance committee, but we need a few more days to figure it out.
Okay.
That's good. And we had a good meeting, all right? Don't ever rush the cheetah.
Anyways, make a motion, we're going to non-public.
Reputation, is that what we're under?
Yep. Motion to go into non-public under
Second.
91A
All in
3
favor?
C.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, LaBelle.